assist families across the country with their projects at
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living for my club, my community, my country, and my world.
Thank you, Bridget. All right, we're going to be bringing in class number 1. If you're in classes 2 and 3, if you could be making your way to the makeup arena. Class number 1, our lightweight market meat goat. We have entry number 124, Ashton Chittenden. Number 138, Evan Polensky. Number 262, April Williams. 288, Rylan Auball. And entry number 327, Brett McCartney.
All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 2025 DeKalb County Free Fall Fair Meat Goat Show. We're excited to have you joining us online today. And so as we get started, I am Alicia Rogers. I'm actually the Ag and Natural Resource Educator here with Purdue Extension in DeKalb County, but raise a large flock of dairy goats ourselves in our own home. So I will be providing you with some commentary as we go throughout the show, along with some fun goat facts. So, as our announcer just said, our first class is in the ring, and these are lightweight market meat goats weighing 50 to 56 pounds. Now, the animals we will see in the meat goat portion of the show today are going to primarily be of the boar goat breed. These animals were originated in Africa. They came over to the U.S. back in about 1993. So they're a relatively young breed to the U.S., but have grown exponentially since they've been here. They are great for putting on good muscling, good meat production, things like that. So traditionally what we'll see in this ring today will be boar goats. Normally white bodies, red heads. They could have some speckling on them. They could have some black on them. I do believe we've got a couple of myotonics in the show as well later on. And so those are more commonly known as our fainting goats. So even though they have the fun fainting where they fall over sideways, they're still considered a meat goat. So really what our judge will be evaluating for today in our meat goat classes will be looking at the structure of the animal, so how well it's put together, looking at its legs, how wide it is from the top of the shoulders all the way back through the end of the hips, and just looking at its overall quality. We want to try to imagine these animals as being meat animals because that's what they are. They're grown for meat production. So you kind of have to look beyond the skin. You have to imagine what this animal will look like, honestly, as a carcass, because these are eating animals. So you have to imagine what it's going to look like hanging on the rail and what that finished meat product will look like. So in terms of meat goat, even though we here in the U.S. are very familiar with our beef and pork and chicken, goat is actually the most widely eaten meat across the globe. Many cultures prefer goat over the other meats because they are a smaller animal and it's easier to graze them on smaller acreages than it is to raise a big fat beef steer. So looks like our judge is going ahead and starting to place our first class. So as we talk about the meat goat industry, like I said, goat meat is one of the most widely eaten in the world. And here's our judge with her results for this class.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Awfully excited to be out here and get to work through a goat show today. I think an awfully impressive class out here to get us started off with our market show, and I think some, again, awfully nice ones all the way through that are doing a lot of the big things that we need to at this stage of the game at these lighter weights. I think from there, when we have some of that added quality, we can definitely start focusing on some of the other things that come into play when we're out here in the show ring. I think that's exactly what our class winner comes out here and does. I think that's one that comes out, and in terms of just studying that one from the side, I love how elevated we are in the front 1/3 of that one and just how tucked up we stay in terms of his chest floor, the extension, length of body, and levelness of design from there back, I think is awesome. Everything just fits together in just a very complete design from the side, and we're still able to come out here plenty opened up from top to bottom. As we start talking about the one that comes out here in second, I think that's another one that in terms of some stoutness and some body shape is definitely one check in the boxes there, just allowing for the muscularity we have up high and when you step behind them. I think when you get off to the side of this one, another one you like for being so tall and about that one's front 1/3. I like the added length of body and just elevation in terms of that one's design. I think there's little pieces we can maybe get just a little pickier when you start talking about 1 and 2. I think the one that comes out here in second could just be a little stronger right there behind its shoulder. Get out and go with just a little bit more flexibility. As we continue on into our third place out here, I think another one that if you just want to talk about market basics, we're checking off a lot of boxes. I think that one comes out here with the right kind of foot size and stoutness. I think we have the right kind of body shape and the muscle shape that is there, really fresh, really lean. We get off to the side, and while I think this is one that comes out here in a very just complete proportional package from the side, we're just a little more compact, just a little bit more jammed up. Want to see that one just a bit more elevated and extended in terms of its design. Continuing on down our lineup, I think Young Man's coming out here next. Appreciate him sticking with it with the one that's being stubborn out here. Definitely falls on the other end of the spectrum. Really tall, fronted, really long-bodied. Just want to see that one come out here with a little bit more. Similar story with the one that comes out here next. Like this one's just length of body and extension. Want to see that one just stoutened up and opened up a little bit more. Great first class. If you'd go ahead and congratulate all of them.
Your reserve champion was number 288, Rylan Abaugh, and your champion was number 138, Evan Polensky. Our reserve champion award was sponsored by Jeff and Cindy Campbell, and our champion award, give me a second. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring in class number 2, light medium weight market meat goats. In this class, we have entry number 343, Raiden Garrett, entry number 64, Caden Brown, entry number 264, Janet Williams, number 289, Michael Alba, number 293, Olivia Lerman, and number 81, Brigham Yard. Your champion lightweight meat goat award was sponsored by Kara and Kyle Wigan in memory of our cousin Whitney Pfefferkorn, and your reserve lightweight meat goat was sponsored by Tyson and Chelsea Hanshoe.
All right, we have our second class of the meat market goats in the ring. These guys, again, weigh 61 to 65 pounds. Now, when we're looking at the meat goat industry, really the ideal market weight is going to be about 75 to 85, maybe 90 pounds is kind of where you'd like those animals really well finished in our market. So we're getting close to that kind of more ideal market weight with these animals. And so going back to a couple more facts about goats and goat meat. So the U.S. is actually the largest importer of goats. We have a lot of, obviously, ethnic populations here in the U.S., but we don't have enough of a meat market yet in the U.S. to fill all those. So U.S. is one of the largest importers of goats into the country, while Australia is actually the largest exporter. And because of all their ground, all their land, they're able to raise a lot of goats over there because goats are actually what we call browsers. they actually prefer to eat more shrubby things. So more kind of twigs, and not necessarily twigs, but more stand-up plants rather than some of our grasses and legumes, clovers, things like that. So Australia has a great grazing atmosphere for a lot of goats across the world. So, and then when we're eating that goat meat, the meat from a young goat, so many of these animals that we see out here, something that's less than a year old, would be called cabrito. If it's more mature goat, that is where we get the term chevron for our goat meat. So like we said, goats love to graze, they love to browse, they like to taste things, and even though they are kind of known for eating anything, really goats are kind of picky. What they do is they have sensitive lips, so they go through and they mouth a lot of things to see how it feels before they actually eat it. So that's why we say goats will eat anything. Not necessarily. They like to try it, feel it with their lips, and decide if it's something they're actually going to want to eat. Many of our goats at home are very picky about where their hay is, what type of hay they have, even types of treats that we give them. We had one doe one time that she could tell the difference between an Oreo wrapper and a Nutter Butter wrapper. It's the same material, but for some reason she could tell the difference. She didn't like Nutter Butters, but she would do anything for an Oreo. So, goats are not as wide-ranging of eaters as many think that they are. So, all right, looks like our judge is making her selections for this light medium weight class of our market meat goats. Again, our judge is Tara Hummel from Illinois, so we are excited to have her with us today. We'll see how she finishes placing this class.
Well, another awfully impressive class coming out here, and I definitely think the ones that come up here to the top end are definitely ones that just kind of separate themselves in terms of just the added show ring presence they're able to come out here with. I think when you get all three of those propped up off to the side, you can really appreciate a lot of things about all three of them. I think they definitely come out here in some different shapes and sizes and types and kinds, but I think with that, each of them are bringing something to the table that you can really gravitate to. The one that starts us off, I think, comes out here and just encompasses and checks off the most boxes. I think if you start at the ground, I love that one's just stoutness and foot size. I think we stay true as we continue to work our way up, with that one just being really opened up through its chest floor, bold through its rib cage. Just comes out here and offers plenty in terms of muscularity. We're putting it together with an awfully good look from the side, traveling with plenty of flexibility and comfort as we get out and go. As we start talking about the next two, again, I think definitely some pieces from the side that you can appreciate. The one that comes out here in second, I just love how opened up she is through her center body and rib cage. Just allows for the rack shape back to her loin that she comes out here with. I think still one that's assembled well in terms of being able to put together a balanced look. I think when we have some nice ones out here, when we start just getting maybe a little bit more critical, one I want to see just a bit neater at the base of that one's neck and head attachment there. Maybe to see that one transition just a little smoother from shoulder to forerib, but I think one doing a lot of really good things out here. Young ladies that comes out of that second class, I think, again, we talked about being awfully neat when we step off to the side. I think that one's neater in terms of how that one's head and neck attaches there at the top side of our shoulder. I think one that's just incredibly level designed and just fits together in maybe the smoother package. With that, I think we'd like to see that one just a little bit neater at the base of that one's chest. We get just a little bit more pronounced about that breastplate. We're maybe not just quite as stout structured all the way through. I think definitely two nice ones coming out here. We'll go ahead and grab us a Grand and Reserve out of here. Let's go ahead and congratulate all of these exhibitors.
Your champion was number 102, Kirsten Haynes. Her award is sponsored by Kara and Kylie Weinglin in memory of her cousin, Whitney Pfefferkorn. And your reserve was number 29, Emery Shadell. Her award was sponsored by Nestor Construction. We're going to go ahead and bring out our class number 6, which is our first class of heavyweight market meat goats. In this class, we have Rylan Moffler, George Williams, Addison Carey, Finn Lance, and Adeline Malcolm.
All right, so this is our first of 2 heavyweight market meat goat classes. This is class 6, and these entries here looks like they weigh 90 to 92 pounds. And so again, this is kind of getting to the upper range of our kind of ideal weight for these meat market goats. They are meant to carry a decent amount of muscling and weight throughout them. But as you notice, as we get, especially into the next class, they may get just a little bit soft, meaning they may not have as distinct a muscling as some of those that we just saw in the last meat group, the medium heavyweights. So So like we said, goats are kind of social animals. They're definitely quick learners. And so because of that, they were actually one of the first tamed animals by humans more than 9,000 years ago. And so the nomads of the time back then discovered that the animals could be handled somewhat mostly tamed. And so that is why, again, another reason why goat meat is one of the most popular meats in the world is because it was one of the original ones that was raised from tamed animals and what we now call livestock. And so today there are actually over 210 different breeds of goat. So there are over 450 million goats in the world, and only 6 to 8% of them are in North America. Most of them can be found in the Mideast, Asia, and then Australia as well. So 210 different types of goats out there. We are only going to see a very small handful here represented between the meat goat and the dairy goat show today. Looks like our judge is going ahead and placing this first class of heavyweight market goats. Again, these animals weighed 90 to 92 pounds. looks like she's made her placings. Let's see her reasons.
Well, excited to keep working up through our heavies, and I think, again, a class with some nice ones, doing a lot of the big things that we need to be doing just from a market basic standpoint. Young ladies that starts us off, I think, is just able to go above and beyond just those basics out here. I think one that's just awfully impressive when you get your hands on her, just how consistent we are in terms of handling quality from rack to loin and out through her hip. I think we stayed true in terms of that when you start talking about body shape and just skeletal width down to the ground. We put it all together with a nice look when you study her off to the side, checking off a lot of things out here. As we continue into the white goat coming out here next, I think another one that if we're sorting and prioritizing from a muscularity and just genuine shape standpoint, I think that's the one that comes out here and just fresher to the touch, offers just a little bit more lean muscularity out here. We're still pairing it together with the balanced look when you study them off to the side. Next goat coming out, definitely one of our more stubborn ones out here. I think a showman sticking with it. Our next two, definitely not easy to handle some stubborn goats, but young man's coming out here next. Love just the length of body and just how tall fronted that one was. We're just not quite cracked open enough. Similar story with our next one coming out here, giving everyone a handful. I think when we step off to the side of our red goat, we're really tall fronted and neat about that head, neck, and chest. I think just a really level design goat from there back. I just want to see that one stoutened up a little bit more. Similar story, next one coming out here. Love just how tall fronted we are. Love how neat we are about that front 1/3. Just the length of body from there back. I think when we get your hands on this one, there's just not quite enough genuine muscularity there. Another great class again. Go ahead and congratulate all of them.
Your class winner was number 196, Addison Carey, and in second place, number 24, Rylan Moffler. We're going to go ahead and bring in our second class of heavyweight market meat goats. In this class, we have number 196, Addison Carey, 244, Jenna Washler, 196, Addison Carey, and 311, Leroy Reckman.
You're fine. All right. So this is our second class of heavyweight market meat goats. This is class 7. And the entries in this class weigh 94 to 113 pounds. So as we said, we're looking for still animals that can show good solid muscle, that aren't getting too flabby, I guess you could say. So animals that are still represented, that are carrying themselves well, that are still holding well to that muscle tone is what we're looking for in this class, with this being our heaviest of the goats today. So once this class is completed, we'll bring back our first and second place winners from this class and the class before, class 6, for our overall heavyweight market meat goat champion and reserve champion. And so as we're looking at the goats that are out here being exhibited today, these are all animals that have been born since January